Hey, heads up, bitches. Welcome to another episode of Cut the Shit. I am Christian Tucker, giving you just another idiot's view of the world. I will be ranting and raving about this week's crap that has caught my attention for its stupidity or its uniqueness or its newsworthiness, or at least what I deem newsworthy anyways. As always, don't forget to catch us on the web at www.cuttheshitalready.com. There you will find links to hit to subscribe to our podcast. Also, you'll find a link to Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at PLZ Cut the Shit, as well as Facebook. You can go to www.facebook.com/Cut the Shit Already /. Got something good to say or pass along? Do it at any of these locations. Got some putrid shit to spew my direction? Do it there also, dirtbag. We welcome it all. Okay, so let's get this shit going, shall we? Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Cut the Shit podcast. This is episode 14, and we'll just title it Sex. So, sex. We all love it, right? Or really enjoy it anyways. I am sure there are those that don't enjoy sex. Some people have conditions, medical conditions, that keep them from having enjoyable sex. And to those, listen, you got my deepest sympathies, truly. I got my glasses on. But for those of us that do enjoy sex, let's talk about it for a little bit, shall we? It's been in the news like crazy lately. So, sex is good, and sex is nice, and we need sex to procreate, right? In the olden times, caveman type stuff, sex was a man taking a woman and not really caring about her getting satisfied, right? To this day, it's still kind of true with some men. They're fucking selfish pigs. They don't know what they're missing out on, by the way, by being these selfish pricks. Only performing sex to get their nut. It's selfish and it's quick, and in the end, it's unsatisfying, really, for everybody involved. And listen, I could say this shit because I'm using some of my own experiences to share with you. Lucky you. So, in my teens, like most boys, I know because I have asked them, and the girls too, it was all about getting your dick wet. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We didn't know what foreplay was. We didn't know about stimulating the mind and the body bullshit. We just knew as young boys that we had a hard-on, and it needed to be shoved into something. Anything wet. Our hand, your mouth, your pussy, an apple pie, fucking anything. Hormones and instinct drove us young boys. Even in high school with a girlfriend that you saw all the time, it was all about just fucking. I used to sneak into my girlfriend's room at night and we would fuck 7 times. That was like 7 orgasms for me, which, by the way, I could no longer do even if I tried. But the question is, how many orgasms did she have? I don't know. I never asked. I don't even know if I knew girls had orgasms back then. Weird, right? As a 46-year-old man, that just, what? But it was all about that carnal desire and be damned anything else, right? So when I look back on it and I think of all the hot girls I banged, I kind of get a smile, but then I cringe and I think to myself, God, what an awful lay I must have been. I hate to say it, but I'm sure some of those women would agree and probably shared their stories with friends. You know, this one guy who was the worst fuck ever. Ew, I'd hate to be known as that, but there's going to be some women who could say that about me for sure. We all know women who have those stories, right? And most of them are from their high school days. Thank you. Some may be in college. Heaven help the man if a woman claims the guy she slept with last week is a horribly selfish, lousy lover. That dude is way behind the bell curve. So, when did I first learn there might be more to sex with a woman than just shoving my penis in and pumping to conclusion? Yeah, I can remember it vividly. It was a girl named Tracy. We had that kind of relationship that almost everyone has at one point in their lives. Let me explain what I mean by that. Friday night, I go out with this new girl that came to our school. Her name was Rhonda, I think. Summer had just begun. We went for a nice dinner out. We went to this park afterwards. I had a blanket I brought, laid it out. I ended up taking this girl's virginity. I took her home and I thought, yeah, this chick is cool. I'll keep seeing her. She's kind of cute. She got a nice body. And she let me have sex with her. So, hey, I'm going to keep seeing this chick. And I really believed that. But the next day, I had to go to Pep Boys for some reason. And boom, it happened. Just literally like in the movies. I head over to the register to buy my stuff, and there she is, Tracy. She was the cashier. It was like a light glowed above and behind her. Her smile and her eyes radiated. I was instantly smitten with Tracy, and Rhonda was erased from my memory just like that. This was 1989. I just graduated high school. This was back when you had to ask a girl out in person. No Tinder shit, no Bumble, no OkCupid. So I went through her checkout line and I kind of flirted with her. I was gauging her to see how she reacted to me. She reacted as I hoped she would. So I asked her out and she said yes. Boom, we're on our way, right? From that point on, for her and I both, it was white hot heat type electricity. Both sides, it was automatic. There's no denying it. You know that kind of love or lust. I don't know. That hits you like, when you're a teenager there. We were telling each other that we loved each other and we believed it. I fell for this bitch so hard. I went to church regularly with her family and became a born-again Christian and was baptized the whole fucking 9 yards so that I could be with her. She had that voodoo punani. Or at least at 17, I thought so, right? I would sneak in her bedroom at night and we'd have sex, right? And one time her brother caught us. I'm on top of her and we got the covers over us and we're having sex. And all of a sudden, the bedroom door just swings open. And it's a no fuck moment. I immediately lay down as flat as I can against her body. And I'm squeezing her tight. And the blanket stuff, kind of fall down over us. But it had to be obvious that I'm laying on top of her. And he turns on the light and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Nothing, get out of my room." And he's like, "No, why don't you tell me what you're doing?" Her parents' bedroom is directly across the fucking hallway. Actually, it was her aunt and uncle. She was living with them. It's a long story. So anyways, so she's screaming at him to get out of the room and he's refusing to. And he's telling her to pull the covers back. I mean, at this point, I know I'm fucking busted. But I just lay there squeezing her and just praying to God that, oh, God, we don't get caught. It was a fucking nightmare. In the end, he ended up closing the door. I got dressed and jumped the fuck out the window. I'm surprised he wasn't outside the window waiting on me, expecting me to make that move. So, me and this Tracy chick, we ended up dating all summer long and into the next year. But then things began to change. That same white-hot electricity that drove our love or lust also drove our jealousy and anger and rage. We would fight and it would get ugly. Like her sitting on the hood of my car and kicking in my fucking windshield, kind of ugly. Then I'd lie to my dad and say a basketball was thrown at it to cover for her. That's a true fucking story. Sorry, Dad, if you're just now hearing the truth to that particular story. So it was always crazy shit like that with us. We would break up and get back together. It became a soap opera. We would love so passionately and hate so passionately, just as equally. So another example of this was one time we were broke up, and I had an old friend from high school named Leslie, and we never dated in high school or anything, but somehow we ran into each other or something after high school. And so me and Leslie, we go out on a date. So we went to some nice restaurant. She had this really nice dress on and, just she looked good top to bottom. We go out and we eat. Afterwards, we come back. I'm living in an apartment with my dad at this time. He's out of town or he's out that night himself or something. And the night's still kind of young, and I really didn't want it to end, and Leslie wasn't ready for it to end either. So we lived not too far from Six Flags in Arlington, Texas. And me and a buddy, we used to jump the fence at Six Flags. We had a spot where we could jump it, and then you'd get right in line to this roller coaster, ride the roller coaster, and then you're in the park. So the truth of the matter is we'd actually drop acid and then jump the fence and ride the roller coasters and go through the park on acid. Not a good experience, but our dumbasses did it. Anyway, so back to Leslie. So I asked her, hey, you want to go jump the fence at Six Flags? And of course, girls love dangerous things with guys, right? So she's down for it. But she's in this really nice dress and shoes and stuff. She can't go dressed like that. So back in the day, Umbro soccer shorts were the big thing. So I gave her a pair of Umbro soccer shorts, and I gave her one of my t-shirts. And she got into it. And I can't remember what she wore as shoes. She must have had some flats on or something that she could wear. I can't remember. So anyways, we go and we jump the fence at Six Flags, and we have a good night. We come back. It's probably midnight or so, right? We're going through the breezeway of the apartment building, and the stairs that head up to my dad's place, it's being blocked. It's being blocked by Tracy. She's sitting there waiting on us. We've been broke up. We haven't seen each other in weeks. So she immediately stands up. So, who the fuck is this? And Leslie shouts back, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, Tracy, what are you fucking doing here? We're broke up. What the hell's going on? And she starts getting all pissy and threatening to kick Leslie's ass. Now Leslie's threatening to kick Tracy's ass. This is where I had to kind of turn around and look at Leslie and say, listen, you really don't want no part of this crazy bitch. She'll kill you and I fucking both, because that's the type of chick Tracy was. And Leslie still was wanting to, not back down, right? Leslie was going to hold her fucking ground. So I turned to face Tracy, and as I do this, Tracy kicks me right in the fucking nuts. So hard that my ears are ringing, right? And I got tunnel vision, and I can't hear anything. I fall on the fucking ground. I remember at that point yelling to Leslie, run, Leslie, run. Leslie takes off running, right? And I'm looking up, and I got Tracy standing over me, and she's screaming, and she's pointing at me, and I can't hear a fucking thing she says because my ears are just ringing with pain, literally. At that point, she reaches down, she grabs my house keys. She runs up the stairs, and she lets herself into the apartment. I'm like, God damn it. So I get myself up, and I go wobbling up the damn stairs. I get into the apartment, and I walk into my bedroom, and guess what? There's Tracy, and she has Leslie's dress. Not only does she have her dress, but she's holding the arms of the dress in each hand, and she's got her leg raised up, and her foot in the neck of it, and she's threatening to rip it. She's going to pull the arms up and push her foot down to rip this fucking dress. And I'm like, don't you fucking dare. And she says, watch me, and she fucking did it. Something inside me snapped. This is, a story that I'm not very proud of, but it's a true story. At that point, something inside me snaps, right? I run over to her, and I literally punch her in the gut. It knocks the wind out of her. She doubles over. I pick her up, throw her on my shoulder. I open the front door. I throw her out onto the landing area where the stairs are, and I close the door and I fucking lock it. I walk back. I go check out this dress. 5 minutes goes by. I'm feeling fucking horrible. This is back before cell phones and, when everybody had them and shit. And I'm feeling fucking horrible. And I'm like, God damn it. So I go and I look out the door in the peephole, and she's just sitting there. So I unlock the door. I open it. Tracy looks up at me and smiles, says, hey, you want to go to Waffle House? I smile back, said, yeah, let's go. We ended up going to Waffle House, came back, and had sex that night. The point of the story is it was a very tumultuous relationship. It was an unhealthy relationship. When things were good, the relationship couldn't be touched by anybody on the planet. That's how good things were. But when things were bad, it was like this example here. Things were violent. Things got broken. People got hurt. It was just a horrible relationship to be in. And I bring this up because I feel like at one point or another, most people have been in a relationship like that. Some, unfortunately, have relationship after relationship after relationship that's like that. Some, like me, get into a relationship like that, and we learn from it. We don't do that shit again. But let me continue. I'd like to say my little incident of punching her in the stomach and knocking the wind out of her was the point that I learned my lesson in this relationship. But it wasn't. I was young, and I was dumb, I was immature. I still am fucking immature, let's be honest there. But, yeah, I didn't learn my lesson at that point. I continued to see Tracy like an idiot. And I'm sure she would say the same about me. We were just young and stupid. So let me go on with the story here. So we continued the on and off again stuff, right? Until one day I'm at work. At this point, I'm a night stalker at Walmart. Rock on, right? And I end up getting fired from Walmart because at that time, from Grapevine to Flower Mound was a long distance phone call, right? Or from Euless to Flower Mound was a long distance phone call. I would sit in my department at night, which is the toy department, and I would call Tracy and tell her how much I loved her and all this other stuff, right? And eventually Walmart got the bill and I got fired for it. So anyways, anywho, I called her one night after we had been arguing, only for her to tell me she was with another man and couldn't talk. Oh, and by the way, he was 32 years old. We were 18. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I was in shock. I was devastated. All my teenage hormones were going fucking crazy. I couldn't get off work, but when I fucking finally did, I went by her parents' place, right? It was like 8 in the morning. Her car isn't there. She wasn't lying. She was at this dude's house, and I'm dying inside, right? Or at least I think I am. Again, teenagers, we're running on feelings, energy, raw nerves, and emotion. Everything is life or death, and for me, at this moment, it was fucking death. I spoke to her at some point later on that day, right? And I actually cried and begged for her, which after that episode, I swore I would never do again for any fucking woman. You want to leave me, even though I still love you and want you, but you don't want to be with me? Fine. Fucking go. I learned begging and guilt tripping won't keep them. Not really. They may stay, but they're not really there, right? If they don't want to be there, they're constantly going to be looking for the next available opportunity to bolt on you or to cheat on you. They're just not ever there. So just let them go. Back to the story. So she decides to get me to stop begging and just go away with the brutally honest truth, knowing it would crush me, right? And it did. She flat out said, "You never once made me come. And this guy made me come 3 times in one night. And he did things to me that I never had done before. And if you think I'm going to come back to you, you're out of your fucking mind." Or something along those lines. Listen, as an 18-year-old with an ego this fucking big, it killed me. It enraged me. You know, if you've heard my Mel Gibson podcast, I spoke about some examples where I might have lost my mind. This might have been one of the times I was referencing in that podcast. But it also woke me up to the idea that you have to please a woman. You have to satisfy a woman. You have to treat them right. You need to blow her fucking mind. And if you do those things, she'll never leave you. So that's what my 18-year-old mind was saying to me at the time, right? That's the message I got out of that shit at 18. So I set out to become the world's best lover. But guess what? I didn't know how. And I was too proud to read books on the subject. I was just going to go figure it out on my own. Back then, guys didn't talk to each other about this type of shit, right? So trying to figure it out on my own, that was a bunch of wasted fucking time. So then I met my wife, and I had the same moment seeing her that I had with Tracy. And I knew I could not make the same mistakes with her that I did with Tracy. Not if I wanted to keep her, right? So I steal a book from a bookstore at the mall about sex, right? I'm too embarrassed to buy it. Don't remember what the store was or the book was. I think it was B. Dalton Bookstore. But what I do remember to this day was one technique the female author said to use to drive a woman insane and have her begging for your cock. So guess what I did? I used that technique over and over and over, and it worked great. She was right. But guess what? Like a typical guy, I did not add any new techniques to my game. I wore that one move out, doing it over and over and over until it lost its effectiveness, and now it was as worthless as tits on a boar hog. It's like if you tell a guy, "You look good in that shirt," that motherfucker wears it all the fucking time. Kind of the same principle. So at the time, I really didn't understand it. Of course, my wife clued me in and began to instruct me on some of the finer points of things that she liked. And at first I was defensive, right? My male ego was getting in the way. But then I began to listen and kind of do as instructed. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was rewarded for it with all the moaning and the groaning and the screaming yes and all that good stuff that a guy fucking wants to hear. And to be honest, to this day, a woman screaming her delight at the things I do is almost better than the sex itself. After my divorce, I really went apeshit and learned new things and techniques and employed them until I was a master at all of them. Did I ever become the world's best lover? Fuck no, not even close. But I am no longer a selfish lover, and that's kind of the main gist of this part of it. I'm no longer a pump for 2 minutes and done lover. I may not make the top 10 in the world for lovers, but those who I've been with, I think I can make most, if not all, of their top 3. I'm not going to complain about that. Now, even with that said, there were a few women that things just did not go well with. We just didn't click. We didn't line up or whatever. They didn't turn me on. I didn't turn them on. And that's when I realized sex with one woman is not like having sex with all women. Meaning, if you've had one, you've had them all. That's fucking bullshit. They are all different, every single fucking one of them. So, if you've been in a relationship for 3 years with Becky, and you two break up and you meet Marcy, don't be a fool and think the sex is going to be the same, because it will not. Marcy may not like some of the things that Becky did, and you may not like some of the things that Marcy does. Becky may have had an exposed clit, right? And Marcy may not. She may not even have a clit at all that's noticeable. Becky may have been able to come in any position, and Marcy, she might only be able to come if she's on top. So the lesson here on this little portion of the podcast is don't be afraid to talk. Ask questions of what you two like and dislike, turn-ons and turn-offs. Because to Becky, you may be the world's best lover, but Marcy, she may only give you a 3 out of 10. So part of knowing is also being in tune with your partner's body. What's it doing? How does it react when you do this? Or how does the body react when you do that? What sounds is your partner making? If you think you're doing good, does your partner's breathing and panting and moans agree with your assessment of your skills? That's when you have to turn off your little head and have your big head in the game. Take Aziz Ansari, for instance. This chick came out saying he did not pick up on her body cues and non-verbal cues. He kept sticking his fingers down her mouth and asking for blowjobs, and she wasn't feeling it, and he didn't make her feel comfortable enough to voice her discomfort. At this point, he's totally thinking with his little head. His big head is not in the fucking game. He obviously doesn't care about this woman and her feelings and her wants and needs at the most intimate moment two people can have. That is a selfish lover who only wants to get a nut. And if you do that, some woman's going to call you out in the national media. I.e. Aziz Ansari, right? Don't be a selfish prick. Be in tune. Know what's going on at all times. Be in control of your fucking self and the situation. Otherwise, you could find yourself in a situation where a woman feels you raped her, and that's not cool or good for either one of you. Speaking of consensual sex, women, men are visceral creatures. We love to see you as we are with you, right? We love to hear you when we're with you. Most men will be in tune with you and your body and pick up on signals that you are feeling it or that you're not feeling it. But if you are feeling it, let us know. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid to make noises or be embarrassed. I have been with women who tell me they wanted to scream or yell or whatever, but that they felt embarrassed. Fuck that. I'm telling you right now, that shit drives us wild. If a guy goes down on you, the entire time he's thinking, am I doing this right? Does she like it? Is this the right spot? Should I keep going? Should I keep doing this? She just thrusted her hips. Does that mean she likes it, or does it mean she wants me to stop? Fuck that. Clear up all that confusion, women, all right? We are stupid. We need direction and help. If it feels good, tell us. If that's the spot, tell us. If you want more or less, tell us. We will love the praise. We're like dogs being told he's a good boy. We will eat it up, and we will eat you out with even more vigor and with more regularity. Grab our hair, or in my case, my bald head. That also shows that you like it. Unless you grab our hair and pull us off of it, then we know that wasn't working also. if we are doing good, again, for God's sakes, reward us with a moan or a groan or a yes or more or whatever comes to your mind. Just fucking blurt it out. We don't care. You should want to encourage us because we want to be encouraged. We want to know we're doing things properly. We want to know that we're doing things that make you feel good, okay? When I get head, and if it sucks, you'll know because I'll just lie still and I won't make a sound. At that time, all I'm thinking about is, oh God, your teeth are shredding my head, or your hand is dry and causing rug burns on my shaft. But if you're doing it good, you will hear me. You will feel me. You will damn sure know you're doing it right because I will encourage you to keep it up. And oftentimes, that gets a woman even more turned on, knowing that she's doing something that he is loving. So the same kind of holds true for us guys. Let us know. Don't be afraid. In a day with the Metoo movement and horror stories of guys fucking up with women thinking things are going good when they're not, some of these guys think that because you don't tell us or give us clues. Of course, some guys are just assholes and ignore that shit and go for it anyways, when they never should have. Why, you ask? Well, as we stated before, in some cases, the woman gives no verbal or non-verbal clues, but instead she lays flaccid or limp or stiff and rigid. And let's be clear, some guys who aren't in tune with a woman's body, who might not be a Casanova and know their way around a woman's body, might not pick up on that. Yeah, that's a clue that you're giving off, but some guys don't pick up on that, okay? They might be so focused on themselves that they never even notice you're laying there flaccid. If that's the case, you need to speak up because he's an idiot and not paying attention to what the fuck's going on. That doesn't necessarily make him a rapist. Same scenario. Some guys notice this and worry that they're doing it wrong or that you don't like it. So they're so eager to please and bring you sexual satisfaction, they switch up their game and they try something different. And when that doesn't work, they think, well, maybe she's a penetration type of gal and will liven up after my dick is at her. So they move forward with that plan. And when she doesn't stop him, he thinks to himself, well, that must have been the case. He's on top of this woman who really doesn't want him to be on top, and he's pumping, and he's feeling good, and he's hearing his own breathing, and he assumes she feels the same way he does. When we obviously know that's not the case at all. If that is not the case, stop him. It's not too late. It may be a simple misunderstanding, and most guys will be mortified they put you in that situation and do everything to make it right. If that guy doesn't, then he's for sure raping you, and you need to handle that situation in the way you need to fucking handle it, however you need to handle it at that point, right? If you find yourself in the above scenario as a woman, you have to let the man know. You have to give him the chance to show you that he misread you or the situation, and for him to stop, showing both of you he had no ill will or intent, and he was not raping you. If you say nothing and let him finish, he will do so and think it was consensual. He may lay next to you and think, well, that sucks. She doesn't like me or the way I fuck, or my dick must be too small, and that's why she's acting this way. I didn't please her or excite her, and now he's feeling awkward and not knowing that he's lying next to you, and inside you're dying because you feel like you've just been raped. We now have two people laying in bed with two different perspectives of the exact same scenario. Neither person is wrong here, but there will be ugly consequences for neither discussing it before, during, or after. This guy will get up, he'll get dressed, he'll leave thinking that they had consensual sex. And he'll be thinking she didn't like him, or she didn't like the way he fucked, or maybe she was too embarrassed or whatever, and now he's too embarrassed to call her again. And she lays there crying and feeling violated and not knowing what to do or how to handle it. Neither of those people should have to feel that way. That's why talking and using our adult words in adult situations is so important. It's a fucking must. Listen, please, oh please, don't get it twisted and think I'm providing cover for guys like Harvey Weinstein. There's no cover or excuses for guys like him and the things they do. If I'm giving cover to anybody, it's the guys who don't understand women and don't know how to act around women, okay? I'm talking about everyday people in everyday situations, like this Aziz Ansari situation, right? It happens a lot. Some is just guys being dumb. Some is guys not knowing their way around a woman and how to read their body language. So help those guys. Be clear with those guys. You'll find out oftentimes they had no clue and are mortified and so sorry and never would have shoved their hands down your pants if they knew that's how you felt. Me, I'm a soft lover. I guess the term is probably I'm a sensual lover. Everything about a woman's body is beautiful and magical, right? And most guys feel the same way. Some just don't know how to read the clues. Some are just fucking rapists, and I hope you never find yourself in that situation with that guy. Speaking of clues, when I first go on a date with a woman, because I don't know her well, or maybe even at all, I am almost never the one to make the first move. You want me to kiss you? You need to make it obvious. Why? Well, let's face it, we're human beings, and being rejected sucks, right? So I don't want to try and kiss a woman until I know for sure that they want me to kiss them. Let me give you an example here. I met a woman for a date, and our date was a little awkward and kind of just odd. And I left the date thinking, she wasn't feeling me. So at the end of the date, I didn't even try to kiss her. To my surprise, the next day she called me and she wanted to see me again. So we went on a second date. And again, during the second date, she wasn't putting off any type of body language or clues or vibes that she was into me. At the end of the date, I walked her to her car, I opened up her door, put her in it, saw her off, and didn't try to kiss her. I remember walking to my truck thinking, well, I'm not going to waste my time and money on her anymore. She's not even interested in me. To my surprise, on my way home, she calls me up and asks one simple question. Do you not like me? I was shocked to get that question. I replied, yes, that I did. She then asked, well, why didn't you kiss me goodbye? I replied because she never gave any hints or clues that she wanted me to do so. I was under the impression she didn't even like me, and so I wasn't going to embarrass either one of us by trying to kiss her. She replied she shouldn't have to give me hints or clues. Fucking bullshit. You can't have it both ways. If you like a guy, let him know. No guy wants to try to deliver an unwanted kiss to a woman. Again, it sucks when they turn their head and you feel like a fool for misreading the situation. 2, you don't want to force a kiss on somebody who doesn't want it. Once or twice of that is enough for most men to learn their lesson to not do that, okay? She gave no body signals, no verbal or nonverbal clues to let me know she even liked me. So why would I try and kiss her? What if I did still try and go in for a kiss after all that, for her to then pull away, right? Ugh. Or worse, what if she kissed me back passionately after all of that, me not thinking that she wanted me to? What did you just teach that guy? That even if you think she doesn't want it, she does. So do it anyways. How many times have guys heard, don't you know, no means yes? Is that really what you want to teach guys? To ignore all the signs and the clues and have him still go for it anyways, thinking it's what you want? Both sides here have a lot of talking and understanding that needs to take place. Both sides need to address their own shortcomings on this subject. Game time as adults needs to be fucking over. If you're interested in him, let him know with verbal or nonverbal clues. But let him fucking know. And vice versa. If he's interested in you, he should let you know. If you're not into him, do the same and let them know, okay? But don't act like you don't like him when you do. And conversely, don't lead anyone on when you don't. Men are stupid, especially when it comes to women. As proven in my story with her wanting me to kiss her and me having no idea. It shouldn't be this hard or confusing. As a woman, you control the flow. You control where things go and how far things go. So don't be coy or play games. Make it clear to the guy. And if this guy ignores all that and continues on, you may be in a bad situation and then you need to handle it as such. End that encounter fast and violent if need be to get the fuck out. You may be dealing with a bona fide fucking rapist. So don't confuse us. Play games and bullshit. Like you, we're nervous. Does she want me to kiss her? Does she want me to walk her to her car? These are questions we don't know the answers to, and we're looking for clues from you to see if that's what you want. All this shit is going through a guy's head, and we suck at it. So again, kind of help us out. Another example, same chick, okay? The very same girl. A few dates later, she offers me to come upstairs to her place when I go to drop her off. At that point, I did not assume she was going to fuck me. Again, my mindset is it's not going to happen unless she makes it clear to me somehow that she wants it to happen. So we're on the couch, we're watching, TV, and we're not making out, we're not doing any heavy petting or anything, and I'm cool with it. Again, I assumed nothing would happen. But now it's getting late, and I decided it's time to head home. This isn't going to lead to sex, so let's go home. I'm tired. Again, we haven't made out, we haven't done anything. So why would I assume I'm going to stay the night? Or why would I assume we're going to have sex? She then asked me, well, aren't you going to stay the night? I said, I didn't know if you wanted me to or not. And that's when she replied, well, I asked you upstairs, didn't I? Bitch, listen. Guys are always told, just because she asked you up for coffee or a drink does not mean that she wants to fuck you. That's what we hear from women all the fucking time. But here you are saying that is what you meant. Do you see now how guys can get confused and misread situations and shit? Maybe when she asked me up, she truly didn't anticipate asking me to stay, right? Maybe halfway through that evening, she changed her mind after I was there and I proved myself a gentleman and we were having good conversation and laughter. Then she should have just said, hey, listen, I didn't plan on you staying the night either, but I'm really enjoying your company and I decided I don't want you to go home after all. Wow. As a guy, I would fucking love to hear that, right? Instead of her saying, well, I asked you up, didn't I? That first scenario that I gave you, it's much better, and it's the truth. And honestly, what's wrong with the fucking truth? Now the guy knows, okay, hey, she didn't ask me upstairs to have sex with me because she's a fucking whore or something. She didn't plan on this happen, but instead it happened naturally. And now she does want me to stay. This is a feel-good moment for him too, as now he knows she's digging him, right? And he is wanted there. He doesn't have to guess if he's wanted there, right? So when they do go to the bedroom, it can be safely assumed that things might lead up to sex. If he's a smart and caring guy, he still does not 100% think it's heading to sex. That'll be determined by how they undress. How do they get in bed? Does making out happen? Does it progress smoothly and naturally to sex? If so, he won't have to ask and she won't have to say. If it's done right, they'll both know. But if she crawls into bed wearing jeans and a hoodie and socks, he kind of knows, okay, maybe we're not going to have sex tonight. Maybe we're just going to lay here and cuddle, whatever, right? So men and women, let's take the awkwardness and the ambiguity out of all this shit and be honest with each other. What's wrong with saying, hey, listen, I'm attracted to you and I want you to stay the night? Seriously, what the fuck? Most of these situations could be avoided. That Aziz Ansari situation, when he brought her back to her apartment, I'm sure she knew that this guy's going to try to make a move. She should have already decided, what am I going to do or what am I going to say if he does and I don't want him to? So that when he does make a move, she could had her canned response ready for him, right? Aziz, he should have been thinking, oh great, this girl's coming upstairs, but I'm not 100% slam dunk in my head that she's going to have sex with me, so I need to pay attention to her body language and her cues that she might be giving me. So when he goes over to her and sticks his fucking fingers down her mouth like a strange creep on a first date, I don't even understand who does that, but hey, whatever, that's your thing. So when he goes and sticks his fingers down her mouth and she gags and she pushes him away, he should probably know at that point, okay, she's not into that. I don't think I'll stick my fingers down her fucking throat again. Instead of trying over and over multiple times. So those two both ignored common sense, logic, And they didn't have any type of conversations with each other. They allowed it to be awkward, and they allowed it to progress to a point to where she was mortified and left crying and feeling horrible. And he probably left thinking, well, what the fuck just happened here? Is my dick too small for her? There's just no telling what transpired at that point. But it never should have got to that point. It could have all been prevented with just a little communication. I'm talking verbal communication, okay? All right. We could go on for another 30 minutes on this, but we won't. We've gone long enough. But I think you get the gist of the whole thing. So I want to thank you again for listening to episode 14 of Cut the Shit Podcast. Please visit www.cuttheshitalready.com. There you'll find videos and archive videos, and you can subscribe to the podcast. And, I want to thank you again for joining us. And as Ron Burgundy says, stay classy. And until next time, guys.